You worked for Senator Sanders in his presidential campaign.
I sure did. I was one of his first employees for his presidential campaign. He picked me up. I was out here in Arizona. I helped start Draft Joe Biden PAC, and then I started working for Bernie Sanders, and as I served as his national African American outreach director and also his southeastern political director. So I had a pretty tough job on Senator Sanders' campaign, and I tell you what, I like the moves that he's making right now when it comes down to if he is preparing himself for a 2020 run. And I've heard conflicting stories from people within the universe. If he is planning on running, I think he's taking the right steps to sort of make more moves with the African American community now than we did 3 years ago.
So you don't feel 3 years ago that he made the right moves or the best moves at the time, or the most timely moves at the time with the African American community?
He could have done better. Our whole campaign could have done better when it came down to outreach to African Americans, but we didn't have a lot of time. And Hillary Clinton, she had a name ID that was, extremely high when it comes down to the African American community. She didn't have the community on lockdown, but she did have enough name ID to kind of get her over. But I believe the moves that Bernie has made recently is changing that. And if he does decide to run in 2020, he's going to be a formidable opponent just because he is out there, and he's definitely one of the most popular politicians in America right now, and that even reflects in numbers of African Americans also.
Now, you mentioned you started out with a Draft Joe Biden PAC. He's all in the news this very morning because there's a lot of speculation that he's getting ready to run. What do you think about that?
I think the more the merrier. I think that's the beautiful part about democracy. I want a big PAC. I want a PAC primary. Instead of one or two chosen people, I want there to be about 5 or 6 or 8 people running for president, so we can weed out our strongest progressive Democrat and get that person elected after a very, jovial primary, and making sure that we get all the issues out there. And making sure that the African American and Latino community, people address our issues also. And I believe that in the current environment of America, in this Trump's America, where it seems like racism has just ultimately been highlighted on a new level, I think in this Trump America, the next presidential primary is going to have to finally start being accountable to people of color. I don't think primaries have been accountable to people of color in the past. I think the 2020 cycle, that's going to change. Folks are going to have to start answering some questions.
Marcus Ferrell with us, folks. Legislative District 24 out in Arizona, where he's running to be a state representative. Your bio also mentions that you are the grandson of a sharecropper. Tell us about that, if you would.
Yeah. So my grandmother was a sharecropper, and worked on a sharecropping plantation in Mississippi in the 50s and 40s. Rosie Bobo left her sharecropping area in the middle of the night under duress. And moved her family to a place where she could be safe, and got a job as a school lunch lady. And that kind of shaped my values when it comes down to investing in education, right? And fully investing in education. Out here in Arizona, we just got through with one of the largest protests in Arizona history, where over 70,000 teachers protested because of the lack of their fair pay. I live in a state right now where the state of Texas has billboards in Arizona advertising to our teachers saying, leave the state of Arizona and come over here to Texas, and we'll pay you $58,000 a year.
Wow. Are you serious?
Yeah, there's other states advertising to get our teachers away from here because of the low pay and the lack of investments in education. Bernie always talk about the 1% and making sure the 1% pay their fair share. In the state of Arizona, there's over $1 billion in tax incentives that very rich mega corporations get. People move to the state. Corporations move to the state so they don't have to pay taxes. And in order for us to make sure that our 70,000 teachers don't show up at the Capitol, to make sure that veterans are fully taken care of, we have to make sure that the big corporations in the state pay its fair share. So, I get to that from my grandmother, because my grandmother is one of the people, both of my grandmothers were in education in some way. One was a sharecropper and one was a teacher for about 40 years in Tallahassee. And their thought process of making sure that education came first and having a wage and getting paid for that is one of the reasons why I'm running for office myself over here in Arizona.
Yeah, outstanding. Folks, Marcus Ferrell running in the Legislative District 24. We invite you to go to the website, Ferrell24.com. One of the things, we were just watching your video on YouTube, and one of the first things you say in your video, Marcus, is that you want to fight Trump on a local level. Tell us what you mean by that.
Absolutely. All politics are local. What folks tend to do is get Donald Trump confused with their day-to-day lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And Trump does have something to do with it. But the guy who's running for state representative, the guy who's running for city council, if that's a person who believes in Donald Trump, that person can do more damage to your lifestyle on a daily basis than Trump can himself. You fight Trump by fighting locally. You fight Trump by putting progressives in office at a local level, because the more progressives and the more people of color that you have locally, it trickles up.
Right.
People think that trickle-down politics is how things work. No. The smaller races are the races that drive the numbers up, that get your neighbor that never, ever votes to come and vote, that gets your black and brown auntie and grandmother and mother and cousin and brother to the polls, right? The larger races, like a David Garcia, who's running for governor out here in Arizona. If I do well in my race, he does better in his race to take out Doug Ducey and the current Republican governor of Arizona, and then that also is going to trickle up to the state senate and the presidency in 2020. You fight Trump by voting local. That's the only way that we really can defeat this guy.
Yeah. Folks, Marcus Ferrell, we're just about out of time. Marcus, you need some money, man?
I need some money, yeah. If everyone would go to www.ferrell24.com and donate $24 to my campaign out here. We are running a progressive campaign. I'm proud of what we're doing. We got black and brown kids knocking on doors every day, and it's going to be a good time.
All right, Marcus Ferrell, folks, our very special guest. Ferrell24.com. Marcus, thank you as always, my brother. We appreciate you, man. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you too, Mark. Keep up the fight. Keep organizing.
All right, brother. And listen, we'll have you back again before the primary. I don't know why I thought it was tomorrow, but we'll have you back here. We're going to keep pushing. This is our brother. Listen, folks, we want positive, forward-thinking young people like Marcus running for office. That's what 2016 was all about. Both campaigns, honestly, have inspired a lot of people like Marcus to step in and put their names on the ballot. And we want to support them. We want we want change, and this is how we do it. Ferrell24.com, 2 R's and 2 L's. Marcus, thanks again, man. Let's stay in close touch, buddy. Anything we can do to support you. And if it's not clear by now, I'm endorsing Marcus. So I just want to say that on the record. I'm endorsing Marcus Ferrell. You can run. You can say it. Y'all can run with this. And Mark Thompson endorsed Marcus Ferrell. And Marcus is his first name. I'm Mark. This is Marcus. Marcus, you named after Marcus Garvey? Is that who your people named you after?
You know what? I think that's a longer story, but I'm going to just accept it and claim it, yes.
He's named after Marcus Garvey. He's named after Marcus Garvey. Ferrell.
I want to say something. Stacey Abrams is amazing.
Oh, yes.
And what happened in Georgia should happen everywhere across the country.
That's right. When we come back, folks, we're going to actually be talking with Andrew Gillum, who's running for Florida governor. He's going to try to do the same thing in Florida that Stacey's doing in Georgia. So we'll talk to him next. So stay tuned. Marcus, thank you, man. And we'll be in close touch, buddy, okay?
All right. Tell Andrew I said hello.
I sure will. All right. Take
bye-bye.
care, man. All right. Ferrell for 24.